Guys, let me come a bit closer. Guys, Deluded Guna, YouTube's N'Golo Kante, the best YouTuber at this. Now, let's crack on. You guys know how much I like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You've seen my previous vid. If you haven't, just type in Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It's impossible to break into Conte's side. I like him a lot. You've seen this season, he's getting a lot of hype. Not really to do with his Palace form. I'll allude to that later. But the game against Germany, in which he impressed against some world-class players and World Cup winners. Now, in regards to, before I touch on his Palace thing, we might as well talk about that game. I'm happy for him. Now people will say it's only a friendly, it's only one game, don't hype, etc., etc. That's all valid and that is very true. But to which I say that I say this. That's all true. But one, it's not his fault. He was called up. He was called up. You're not going to reject that. He was called up. You can only play what's in front of you. You can only take the chances you've been given in whatever context, whether that's an official game context, whether that's an official match or not. And he took that. Added to that, he stood up to be counted. Now, Tammy Abraham, I'm not going to get onto him and dig at him. It is hard to make your debut. I mean, you're playing at the national stadium in front of the whole country, at home and at the stadium, so you will be overawed. But in the same way you saw Abraham curl up into a ball essentially, and almost think twice about his chances, think too much. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was the complete different. He relished it. He didn't care if he won World Cup. He didn't care what he did. You saw him busting nutmegs, controlling it, doing the basics right, which are not going to get spoken about, receiving off the centre-halves, remaining disciplined in midfield, bursting sorts of runs. All of these things, you saw him boss it against Germany, and he really deserves the plaudits. And you saw the Dele Alli comparisons and etc. by the fans. So he deserves it. But for me, he's been quietly going about his business this season. He needs to stay fit for his club. He's had maybe it's because he hasn't played a lot of football like that. Maybe it's the reason for his injuries. But he's had a couple groin and thigh and these little niggling injuries. So he's only made 8 appearances. But in his 8 appearances, he's been impressive. They got battered against City, but he impressed me. And I'm pretty sure I put him in the team of the week. Forgive me if I'm wrong for that. He impressed me against Liverpool if he played. Again, they lost, I'm pretty sure. But he was one of the players standing up to be counted. Spurs, again, they lost, but he was stood up to be counted. Yeah, man, you're hearing all talks of praise for this guy. People are saying he can be a cam. People can say he can be a defensive midfielder, box to box, deep line. I think deep line, box to box, either one of them roles, and both is which he can master. And his thing more so the box to box. But you even seeing his club manager, his parent club manager, Conte, he used him as a striker and tried to experiment with him as a striker and said he could become a striker. Obviously, firstly, because of his physique, and secondly, because he said, and I quote, good personality, good versus one, good technique. But then you've got Glenn Hoddle, who said he reminds me of Ballack. And I got a lot of time for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. A lot of time for him, man. I like the way he makes long strides into the box. I like his physical capabilities. I like the way he doesn't rely on his physical capabilities. He can play football. I mean, he used to bully guys in the under-21s and all these championships. For those who actually have been watching him, and it's not a crime if you haven't, you're not shocked. You're not shocked by this. He's got a lot, man. He's been doing his things. Won stuff for England at youth level. What did they win last summer? They won something. I'm so sure he was there. He's been doing his thing. And if I'm him, you've got a taste for consistent football because you're going to play a lot of football for Palace. You've got to consider your future at Chelsea. Now, I'm not advocating to leave. If you honestly think you can make it there and establish yourself, then why not? But I also got to say this, you need to look at everything. His dad's come out and said comments about if he was under Poch, he would have played, and all these things. He's been at Chelsea, he made his debut in 2014. He's made only 32 appearances. Not a lot of that is 90 minutes. So that shows how hard it is to break into the side, and that shows how maybe you're fighting a losing battle, not down to talent, but due to opportunities, because that's what it comes down to. Conte does like him, but he's going against some very established midfielders, to be honest. And do you really want to go from a season of playing a lot of football to being on the bench and things like that? If I was him, I would fancy my chances at Chelsea, but I consider all options is simply what I'm saying. I say I fancy my chances because I say this. Conte loves Cesc Fabregas. Cesc Fabregas is an amazing footballer. Got no one in that side, that Chelsea side has the vision he has, despite Hazard, if you want to make a case for anyone. But what do we know about Cesc, even from his Arsenal days? He's not the best defensively. He's improved defensively because he's had to defend under Pep, under Jose, and under Conte versus Wenger, who is just going to let you do what you want. He's had to improve in that aspect, but that's still not his strong point. So that being said, like at Arsenal, you have to accommodate Cesc. You know he's going to, and you've seen games this year, you know Cesc isn't the best defensively, so you need to make sure you have people doing double the work. Like when we had Perez, you needed 10 people to work off the ball because he's not the best defensively. So with that in mind, Conte seems to prefer the industrial more midfielders, whether you're creative or you're box to box, the more industrial, robust, defensively minded midfielders, and that's probably why I think Cesc is going to get phased out, because what Cesc has going for him is the attacking sense. No one has that, but I think once Conte finds that, he won't have a need for Cesc. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to be forced out and things like that. If he does, come Arsenal. But yeah, man, that's just simply the point I'm trying to make, I guess. Like, I just don't think Cesc is an athletic midfielder that Conte wants, and that's what Ruben Loftus-Cheek has going for him, especially now that it's evident that Conte's seen it. Now, Conte obviously worked under Conte trained him, etc., etc. So if Conte hasn't seen his quality, he arguably never will. But he might see it in a different light. He's seeing him at Palace bossing it. He might think, yeah, let me put Kante, who is robust and energetic, and Bakayoko together with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Imagine that midfield, robust, high energy, high intensity, mad engines, and all three of them. All three can make long bursting strides. That would be a good midfield. So yeah, man, maybe he does think he can make it at Chelsea and things. Personally, I do think Cesc holds the key to probably getting a look in, because on top of Cesc, you actually see a lot of midfielders actually being linked with Chelsea, and there's a case for Chelsea to sign a midfielder anyways. But he's got a lot to consider, man. He needs to consider the game time, the people he's facing, the fact that he's playing consistent football at Palace, the fact that by the time he returns there, he's 22 now, he's going to be 23, he needs to play football now. You're no longer 17, 18, 19, where we're saying, okay, Musonda, Loftus-Cheek, Baker, all of these young kids at Chelsea could have a future. It's now time to establish yourself, whether that's the dream, I'm sure, Premier League and at Chelsea. But if you can get somewhere else, like how you can get a Palace, I don't think they'll sign you permanently. I don't think they'll pay that. But yeah, you get where I'm going, man. In short, I hope he gets fit. I hope he stays fit. Sorry, I hope he continues to boss it. I hope he makes the World Cup, and I hope he keeps gaining these plaudits. I'm a big fan of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, guys, and I've said it. I'm not gonna react and just you guys know I don't just say the in things and I hold my hands up if I'm wrong. But this is someone I've been following. So yeah, there's not much more to say on that front. Anyways, guys, DG, I'm signing out. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest. Thank you very much for watching.